Any more weight? That I'm sure.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us for our March 19th, 2024 York City Council meeting. At this time, do we have any public comment? I do have forms for two individuals. First, I'll call up Chastity Frederick.
Hi, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
My name is Chastity Frederick. I am a resident of the City of York, and full disclosure, I am also an employee of the City of York, and grateful to be both. So I just had some questions in regards to the ARPA dashboard. I have tried to understand it, and full disclosure, I am a nurse, not an accountant. And so I just want to be sure that I'm understanding what is there. And part of that reason is because if I am accurate, we have until December 31 of 2024 to have all of the funding allocated, and December 31, 2026 to have the funding expended. And for the past several months on the ARPA dashboard, it has said that there is $20.86 million that is not yet allocated. And that makes me nervous. And so I just wanted to be sure that I understood. Additionally, when you hover over on the dashboard, there are some categories that I'm guessing maybe I'm not the only person that is confused. So for instance, under the negative economic impact, it says the current allocation is $6.1 million. There's a budgeted amount of $27.5 million, an obligated amount of $12.2 million, an expended amount of $13.9 million, and then total expended notes at $883,600 with only $507,697 ordained by council. I would personally like some clarification. This is a public-facing dashboard. I'm an educated individual, and I just feel like it's a little bit difficult for the public to understand and also to advocate for or about. And as a resident, I don't want to see us lose any funds. I was frankly nervous about this in 2021 when the money came down from the federal government. I'm ever more nervous about it in 2024 when we need to get that money expended. So one of my questions is just perhaps an explanation of how the dashboard works, how often it's updated. I check it on a regular basis. It says the same thing for a significant period of time. My second question also is, and I believe I have listened to every city council meeting since 2020. So my question is, does city council have to approve every dollar that is allocated and or then expended for the ARPA funds? I will say that I do have specific interest in this. As part of my department, we did apply for some ARPA funding in December. We were asked to provide additional information in January, which we did, and revise our application in February, which we did, and we're told that the funding was not available. And I assure you, we were not asking for millions of dollars. And so I just want to be certain that I understand from both a citizen standpoint as well as an employee standpoint. I don't want that money to go to waste. Our city is certainly in need of utilization of that, so I'd appreciate some clarification.
Thank you, Chastity. I'm sure the administration can provide you with an update regarding that, but I can assure you that no money will go to waste. So thank you. Next, we have a form for Derek Manifer. Thank you very much.
Can you spell your last name for me, Derek?
Yes, Maninfior.
Thank you.
Okay. Good evening, council members, Solicitor Flower. My name is Derek Maninfior with CGA Law Firm. I represent this individual to my right, Themi Sakarelos. Last month, February 6th, we were here before the council to speak and express a general interest in the property located at 1601 Torrenita Avenue. My client, Mr. Saccarellos, is interested in entering into a lease with the city for that property. So here, this month, we're here to speak more specifically. What you have in front of you is a letter of intent from Mr. Saccarellos that makes an offer to the city to enter into a lease agreement. You can see the terms there set forth in the letter itself. Would be happy to go into details and discuss those, but my purpose for here today is there has been some delay and some, I'll say for lack of a better term, feet dragging in terms of responding and getting responses from the city for entering into a lease or trying to get any type of response from the city. So our question for the council today is there any interest in entering into a lease with Mr. Saccarellos for the property at 1601 Torrenita? And if not, why not? Mr. Saccarellos is more than anything wanting just some type of response from the city. And thus far, these discussions have been ongoing since the fall. He has not heard anything. The offer you have in front of you, we believe is a very good offer based on what we believe the current lessee to be paying for that property. We expressed last time that Mr. Saccarellos, as some of you may know, has developed in the city of York. He has a very successful enterprise here.
County of York. Not the city, yeah, the County of York. Yeah.
County of York. Very successful enterprise, round-the-clock diner. He has a vested interest in the economic vitality of the city and the county, and we believe that he would be a fitting tenant for this property. So our purpose here today is to put this offer in front of the city council for your consideration. And if you have anything to add.
Yes, I do. The property actually sits in Manchester Township, but it is owned by the city of York. In that immediate area, as Derek has mentioned, I have developed, I'm not here to fan my own flame here, I'm just to tell you that I have developed a lot in that immediate area. The Starbucks Plaza was originally at Bob Evans. I developed that. The Sheets, the Cheddar's Restaurant, the hotel behind it, the Taco Bell down the street. As Derek had said, we operate the diner, and I am now reconstructing the former San Carlos restaurant. That is my immediate concern or interest in the neighboring property, which is the truck facility. That would serve as multiple uses. One would be for overflow parking for the diner and the San Carlos. And if we can use the building for a truck facility, I will try to sublease it to them. But so again, as Derek mentioned, we are here to see if there's any interest. I think my number is substantially higher than what your current lease expires with T-Force in June of 2025. So you have about a year before you should start figuring out who's going to be the next tenant. I've been in fair defense of the mayor. We have been in patchy communications, but I think he's a very busy man, and I just want to make sure that I get heard by everyone and hopefully do what it takes to get this property. Thank you very much. Do you have any questions?
You're welcome, thank you. We will be sure that the administration receives this and know that you came and receives a copy of this.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else here this evening for public comment? Okay. We will end that portion of our meeting for public comment, and we'll call this legislative meeting to order. Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Bub,
Here.
John Askew,
Here.
Dennis,
Here.
Buckingham,
Here.
Washington,
Here. May we all please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance for all those who are able to stand.
I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Are there any corrections to our meeting minutes for March 5th, 2024?
I have none.
None. Seeing that there are none, all in favor of presenting our March 5th, 2024 meetings, please say yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. We do not have any presentations, awards, or announcements this evening. Our council committee meeting is scheduled for Wednesday, March 27th, 2024, 6 p.m. here in council chambers. All agenda items are due by 12 noon on March 20th. Our next legislative meeting of council will be held on Tuesday, April the 2nd, 2024, at 6 p.m. here in council chambers. All agenda items are due by 12 noon on March 27th. Moving along to our legislative agenda. First up, we have final passage of Bill number 4. Move to approve.
Second.
And that's Bill number 4 that was introduced by Queen of Washington at the last meeting of council, March 5th meeting of council. It's amending the 2024 budget by appropriating revenue and expenditures for the year 2 funding received from the Pennsylvania Commission on Crime and Delinquency for a grant of federal coronavirus, state, and local fiscal recovery funds in the amount of $539,802.
Is there any council comment or questions?
None.
No.
Is there any public comments or questions? Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Bub? Yes. John Askew?
Yes.
Dennis?
Yes.
Buckingham?
Yes.
Washington?
Yes. And that moves forward. Moving next, we have final passage of Bill number 5. Move to approve.
Second.
And that's Bill number 5, which is introduced by Queen of Washington at the March 5th meeting of council, amending the 2024 budget to appropriate additional revenue and expenditures for the Fund 26 Special Projects Account for environmental-led investigations in the amount of $3,500, and to appropriate revenue and expenditures for the intergovernmental agreement with the Pennsylvania Department of Health for the childhood-led poisoning prevention projects in the amount of $22,481, and to approve revenue and expenditures for the Family Health Council of Central PA for the Women's Health Services in the amount of $75,000. And lastly, to approve additional revenue and expenditures for Fund 26 projects health account in the amount of $700.
Is there any comments or questions from council?
None. No.
Any comments or questions from the public? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Bub?
Yes.
John Askew?
Yes.
Dennis?
Yes.
Buckingham?
Yes.
Washington?
Yes. And that moves forward. Up next on our agenda, we have final passage of Bill number 6.
Move to approve.
Second.
That's Bill number 6, which is introduced by Elizabeth Bub at the March 5th meeting of council, amending the 2024 budget by appropriating additional revenue and expenditures for the Holiday Diversity Luncheon Fund 26 projects account in the amount of $9,999, and appropriating additional revenue and expenditures for workforce development trainings and support services in Fund 26 special projects account in the amount of $136,000.
Is there any council comment or questions?
Yes. First, I just wanted to remind everybody, it's a holiday diversity luncheon, and they're spelling it HOLLID because that is the name of the person that they're honoring, or that it's named after, Dr. Frederick Holliday. The Human Relations Commission has a page on the City of York website, and you can go in there and learn more about Dr. Frederick Holliday, and also learn about upcoming events that the Human Relations Commission is supporting, including an event at the Appel Center regarding the movie Rustin on April 26th. You can also attend, if you are interested, a Human Relations Commission meeting. They are the third Monday of each month at 6 p.m. in this chamber. Thank you.
Is there any other council comment or questions?
None.
Is there any public comments or questions regarding this? Madam Clerk, can you please call the vote?
I'm sorry. Bub,
Yes?
John Askew,
Yes.
Dennis,
Yes.
Buckingham,
Yes.
Washington.
Yes, and that moves forward. Up next, we have final passage of Bill number 7.
Move for vote.
Second.
And that is final passage of Bill number 7, amending the 2024 budget. Should it be 2024, Kim, not 2023? Okay. The 2024 budget by appropriating expenditures from the American Rescue Plan Act for funds for a new roof and generators for several city buildings in the amount of $3,735,043.
Is there any council comment regarding this?
Yes, and it's appropriate that, I'm making these comments since there was a public comment about ARPA funds. First, I want to thank Dave Rudolph. For those who weren't at the council committee meeting, he really did a thorough job of stating the need for the roofing replacements and the generators that weren't, keeping buildings fully operable during weather emergencies, and going through the materials and the equipment being purchased, the process. I was most excited that in making a choice to use slate on both the City Hall and the police station. This will have a life of 75 years. So in my lifetime, or any of our lifetime, we will not be asked to replace roofing again on these buildings. And I did get inquiries about the use of ARPA funds, so I was glad that Business Administrator Robertson at that meeting explained that this money is coming out of the flat amount allocated to the city for their COVID losses, for our COVID losses, that it wasn't pulled from programs helping people. And so I wanted to reiterate that because I did, receive some inquiries about it. So again, I appreciate the thorough, explanation and presentation of that, resolution at committee.
Thank you. Is there any other council comments or questions?
None.
Is there any public comments or questions regarding this? Yes, ma'am.
Roleda at 200 North Duke Street, and nowhere in what I have read has anything been said about my favorite topic, lighting. Last year sometime, when I was first complaining about the lighting out here, it was mentioned by two members of council who are no longer on council, the possibility of lighting, when they were doing the roof, of putting lighting down from the roof, which has happened in several buildings that they've renovated in York. This building needs it, and the police station needs it also. Walking by there in the dark is not fun.
Thank you. Is there any other public comment? Madam Clerk, can you please call the vote?
Bub,
Yes?
John Askew,
Yes.
Dennis,
Yes.
Buckingham,
Yes.
Washington.
Yes.
Madam President, if I may speak on the next agenda items, if council would consider waiving the consideration of a consent agenda to act on each individual item, I would make that recommendation, as we had some questions that came up since the agenda's been printed. Is there a motion to waive the consideration of the consent agenda to consider the items individually?
I make a motion.
I'll second it. There you go.
Okay. All in favor of waiving the consideration to consider each item individually, say yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Moving along to our agenda, we have a resolution accepting HARB recommendations.
Move to vote.
I will, you'll say, so introduced.
Oh, so introduced.
And then I'll read it. I'm sorry, I was
No
ill-prepared.
problem.
Ill-prepared, I don't have the document in front of me. All right. And because I was ill-prepared, I don't have the resolution number that it will be, but the resolution will be assigned and placed online when I put up all the documents from tonight's meeting. So this is a resolution accepting the recommendations of HARB and authorizing a certificate of appropriateness for applications for work filed to be done at 316 West Princess Street and 45 through 47 North Duke Street, and also to accept the recommendations of HARB in denying a certificate of appropriateness for work to be done at 164 West Market Street.
Is there any council comment?
None.
None.
Is there any public comment?
Is there a motion to approve?
Move to vote. Motion to approve.
Second.
Madam Clerk, can you please call the vote?
Okay. Well, I'm sorry, you guys, I'm not feeling well tonight, so I'm not all together there. Here's my sister-in-law, hi. Bub, John Askew,
Yes.
Dennis,
Yes.
Buckingham.
Yes.
Washington.
Yes, and that moves forward. Agenda item number 6 was pulled this evening. We're moving along to agenda item number 7. So moved. So introduced.
And that is a resolution introduced by the Queen of Washington. And it is whereas the Apple Service Center submitted a preliminary final land development plan for the construction of a service center building on a now existing parking lot for the properties located at 1060 Margaret Lane and 1128 Roosevelt Avenue. And whereas the applicant is requesting waivers to the land development ordinance, and whereas the plan and waivers submitted by the applicant are in general accordance with the city's ordinances. And whereas the planning commission recommended approval conditioned upon outstanding engineers' review comments being satisfied of the plans. Planning approved it at their June 12th meeting. Now therefore be it resolved that council hereby approves said plan.
Move to approve.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. Is there any council comment or question?
Yes, I'm just wondering, I mean, I saw that this went to planning on June 12th of 2023, and since then, Apple is no longer Apple. It was sold, and another company owns that. So does that change how we proceed with this, the change in ownership?
We have Mr. Inglis here with us.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Tom Englert from Site Design Concepts. We prepared this land development plan, and the short answer to your question is no, it won't change. The name is not changing. The owner certification that'll be signed by the owner will be signed by a different person, but the names of the facilities have stayed the same.
Okay, I'm just confused because when I received email from them, they were no longer, they had a different name as a, because
Yeah, no, we've talked to them about this, and this particular parcel, and this is going to stay the same,
okay,
as we're told.
thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other council comments or questions regarding this matter?
None.
Is there any public comments or questions regarding this matter? There's none. Madam Clerk, can you please call the vote?
Bub,
Yes.
John Askew.
Yes.
Dennis,
Yes.
Buckingham,
Yes.
Washington.
Yes. And that moves forward. Moving along, we have number 8, a resolution approving the 2023 pay for the consolidated annual performance and evaluation report. So introduced.
And that is a resolution introduced by Queen of Washington, whereas under Title I of the Housing and Community Development Act, as amended by the Secretary of HUD, has made grants available to the city to implement community development block grant programs, and whereas under Title II of the Granston-Gonzalez National Affordable Housing Act as amended, HUD has made grants available to the city of York to implement the Home Investment Partnership Program, and whereas titled under 24C, CPR, I think that should be CFR, Part 91, entitlement communities shall submit a consolidated annual performance evaluation report 90 days after the completion of the most recent program year. And whereas the CAPER was available for comment period of 15 days and a public hearing has been held, now therefore be it resolved that the 2023 CAPER is hereby approved and that council hereby authorizes its submittal, and that the Deputy Director of Bureau of Housing Services is able to submit corrections and additional information as required to HUD.
Move to approve.
Second,
It has been moved and seconded. Is there any comments or questions from council?
I just want, again, for the sake of, being more informative, I really appreciated Deputy Director Crosby's presentation of the report at committee meeting. I read through the report, and I could spend a lengthy time here explaining everything that this is doing in terms of community development. But I did ask Director Crosby, what his highlights were for the year, and that was an increase in home ownership, when he, stated next year to increase it even further. As far as an area where he'd like to see growth, it would be more people participating in our adult literacy programs and more, first-time home buyers taking advantage of counseling available to them. I think those are great goals. And, reading through this, I had no idea we were getting so much done. And I was really pleased, to have the opportunity to learn more about it.
Thank you. Are there any other comments or questions from council regarding this matter?
None.
I would just say that I do also appreciate Mr. Crosby's feedback to questions about the CAPER, and I look forward to seeing the final version with answers to the comments from the public hearings. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any comments or questions from the public regarding this matter? Seeing that there is none, Madam Clerk, please call the vote.
Bub,
Yes.
John Askew,
Yes.
Dennis.
Yes.
Buckingham.
Yes.
Washington.
Yes, and that matter moves forward. Up next, we have number 9, a resolution authorizing a transfer of ARPA funds.
Madam President, these items were submitted after the agenda submittal for committee, so council will have to consider waiving the committee requirements to consider the items on the agenda. Agenda item number 10, which is authorizing an application for funding through DCNR, was asked to be pulled at the request of the Public Works Director, so that will be removed from the agenda. And with that said, is there a motion to waive the committee requirement to consider agenda item number 9?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. All in favor say yes.
Yes.
No.
Opposed, no.
No.
Okay, the ayes have it.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Clerk. So we have a resolution authorizing the transfer of ARPA funds. So introduced.
And I am so sorry, everybody, for really not together tonight. And Cliff, I'm sorry if you hear a bunch of ruffling in the microphone, and to the public who might be hearing that. And this is a resolution introduced by Aquina Washington. And it is, whereas the city received ARPA funding, and whereas council established a formal process to appropriate ARPA funding, and whereas it has been determined that the previously approved ARPA funds for the police cadet program will not be obligated by the 12/31/24 deadline, and where it has been determined that the previously approved use of ARPA funds for the More Graduations, Less Funeral program should be reduced to an amount that can be obligated by 12/31/24 deadline, 2024, and whereas the police department is in dire need of replenishing their less lethal weapon option by purchasing 110 new tasers for $508,728, and whereas the transfer exceeds 5% of the appropriated item within said fund, and whereas in accordance with Article 137 of the codified ordinances, this transfer will require at least 4 members of council to vote in the affirmative. Now therefore be it resolved, council hereby approves the transfer of $508,728.
Move to approve.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. Are there any comments or questions from council?
Yes. Hi. I actually have a lot of questions, and and that's why I would have preferred it go into committee. I have a lot of questions about the tasers. I don't know how many tasers the police department has now, and if we're doing a complete replacement. So what is the inventory of tasers now and their age? I don't know what training is required and if that is included in this cost of 500 plus thousand. Because I don't know how much a taser costs. On the internet, I found you can buy tasers through the constable program for $900. So I don't know if it's appropriate to ask my questions now either. So is it,
I think that we went over this in committee.
Did we?
And they talked
No.
about the age.
No.
We didn't.
But I can answer those questions.
I'm sorry.
you can answer them so I can keep asking? Do you want to do them one at a time or?
Oh, well, let me just start off with the fact that they currently have, knowing that we have, 108 officers, we currently have 36 of them. And my understanding is that the tasers are end of life. So when they do get damaged, they're having difficulty replacing the ones that we actually have. The current, the $508,000 quote, that includes essentially is everything we're gonna need for 5 years. So that includes the 110 tasers, but it also includes all the cartridges. Sorry, I was texting with Captain Lentz. That includes all the cartridges that we're going to need, unlimited, including the training cartridges. That includes holsters, charging docks, software, training is included as well. So it's everything we're gonna need for a 5-year period. What will probably happen then is after the 5 years, it's not anticipated they'll be end of life, but we will most likely have to set up some kind of just maintenance agreement with the organization so we can keep getting them repaired and for additional cartridges. So this will have, using these ARPA funds now, we'll have the police department set for 5 years for the tasers.
Thank you, Business Administrator Robertson.
I do have a few more questions.
Sure.
Do we have a, do the police have a written policy on the use of tasers?
Yes, I believe they do. It's part of their overall general order, which is why they are required to carry them.
So so who requires it? Is it
That's in the general
an
orders
ordinance?
of the police department.
Required, okay. And you said we have 36 now, and are we required to provide one for every officer? Because if we aren't,
That is best practice, yes.
That's best
Because when
practice.
you send 2 officers out, you never know which one's gonna need the taser, so for them to share it, which is currently happening, that puts everybody at risk, especially with this being our less lethal option. We want these available to our officers, so that they are gonna be able to use the training they have, following the policies that are in place, so that this is the first option they have if they determine it's necessary.
do we have, did we have any statistics on their use in any period of time compared to discharge of a gun to see if there is a benefit? But you already said they're required by the city? There's
The general orders of the police department oversees all the policies and procedures within the department, which includes what equipment the officers are required to have on them and have available to them, and how they're supposed to be using it and when. And so that is a requirement of the police department. I'm not aware of any statistics. Like I said, we're not adding tasers, as in this is something new we're adding to the department. We're just trying to replenish the stock that we already have, that we have lost because of damage and inability to replace them, and the actual tasers we have being end of life so that we can't replace them.
okay. Okay, I did not realize it was something they were required to have. I would love to see a written policy on their use versus gun. So if somebody can just direct me to the right section and the general order, I just need to find
would
that to
have
read
be-
it.
Yeah, that would have to be provided by police administration, and I can forward your request to them.
Thank you. I would just like to read it. I would take your word for it, of course. And I guess because when I originally saw this and didn't realize it was a requirement, I started thinking about the request from the public for more mental health, behavioral health counselors to assist the police department in their responses. These were some of the ARPA survey results. Talked about what the public wanted and evidence-based violence intervention programs. So I'm trying to learn, and I appreciate your answers. And that's all I've got right now. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you again, Mrs. Administrator Robertson.
Welcome.
Are there any other questions or comments from council?
I do think that it's a good option because one, the main thing that struck out to me or was drawn to me was less lethal weapon. And so when we're looking at all across the world where officers, we just had something happen, in York County, York area just recently, but if we can have a less lethal weapon, and then not just have 36, but we have 110 officers, am I correct?
Yeah,
Somewhere
that'll
around
cover
that area.
everybody with
But if everyone is
one or two
applied,
extras.
that less lethal weapon, I think that is, to me, I think that's good. I think that's a major option versus pulling a gun out first. And so I want to applaud our police department for considering that, and I'm for it. That's all I want to say, so, thank you.
Thank you.
I would just add that I agree with you, Felicia. I support a less lethal, absolutely support the less lethal method. And one of the things I was curious about is how many officer shootings there were statistically per year, even last year, how many times they shot someone to know perhaps we don't have, well, just some statistics on
Do you mean local, or do you mean?
local, or York City Police, how many times they have
Not often.
shot a gun
Yeah.
to know that we need something less lethal if they're already
Well, that hasn't,
managing a
I mean, if we're paying
Policy.
attention to the news and things, I don't think that's, they haven't had to shoot many people at all. But I think to be proactive, to make sure that we have a less lethal weapon, I think that's what they're trying to do, to make sure that we don't have to shoot anybody versus if we need to, we tase them and we save a life versus shooting them and taking a life away. And so here in York City, I mean, there's been cases of it, but I just, over the course of my life, I don't know many, but there's been enough that the less lethal weapon would be a great option. That
Now,
makes sense.
Okay, thank you.
I just want to share, Councilwoman Buck, that you can always reach out to Commissioner Muldrow, and he can provide you with all the information that you need.
Currently, yeah, pending. Thank you.
You're welcome. Are there any comments or questions from the public regarding this matter?
Comment? Come on up. Come on.
Commissioner Muldrow.
Okay, thank you for being.
Because I was there in Kelly Drive when the officer.
Give us your name.
I'm sorry. My name is Carolyn Colbert. I was there when the officer used deadly force on a mental health patient. It happened on Kelly Drive. It was just so happened that I have a son that was teaching the state troopers how to disarm them, and this is in Lebanon. He was teaching them how to disarm them. When he seen it, he was coming to visit me. He's like, they didn't, he said, what was wrong with them using their taser? You know, and then the guy had one like one of these, and it didn't go through. So I don't know what was wrong with the taser, but then they just like tased him like 1 or 2 times, and then they went ahead and just used lethal, this killed him. He died, like he got killed, and that was right in front of all of us, and that always stick to me, because I just thought that there was no one there from she was like one person there that was from the mental health. The mother called mental health crisis to have them, she told them that he's combative. So, and when they came, they came with force instead of just letting the mental health people step in, and then if they had to come and constantly tase him or whatever, I just didn't see, like, why would, there was no need for him to die when the mother was calling for him to get help.
Right.
So I didn't even come here for this, but okay.
Thank you for being.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other public comment regarding this matter? Seeing that there is none.
You have
there
a
is.
comment? Come on up.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Council President, may I just follow up again? I got Captain Lentz on the line. He says, besides the incident just happened in Spring Garden Township recently, we've had no discharge of firearms through our department. Now, there's some incidences where there's been a requirement to point the firearm, but none were actually fired. So that is not something, they're very well trained not to use that. And just to follow up that the incident on Kelly Drive was several years ago, and we've learned, from that, so.
Did you say Spring Grove?
Spring Garden.
Spring Garden. Thank you, Captain Lentz, afar.
Yep.
And thank you, Business Administrator Robertson. Madam Clerk, can you please call the vote? Oh, we do have a public comment. I apologize, I did not see you.
Excuse me, Tanoa Nisha Sweeney, 106 West Boundary Avenue. I wasn't going to speak, but appalled me that somebody would even question to not have tasers rather than guns. Literally, as I came today, I was late because they were chasing a person down Boundary Avenue. One officer had a taser. Now, I left before it ended, but I hope the one that had the tasers, the one that got to him first. I guess you'll hear about that in a couple minutes. But anything that could save a life, I feel as though we need to go towards, rather than saying, oh, don't give him the taser, let him shoot him. That's my comment.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other public comment? Okay, Madam Clerk, can you please call the vote?
Bub,
No.
John Askew,
Yes.
Dennis,
Yes.
Buckingham,
Yes.
Washington.
Yes. And that moves forward. We do not have any requests for future meetings. Do we have any comments from council this evening?
I do. I'd like to wish our business administrator a happy birthday tomorrow.
It's today, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Thank you.
It's today,
Oh my
yes.
gosh, sorry.
Birthday.
Well, happy birthday.
Thank you very much.
I have a comment. I would like to thank everyone that came out tonight. Some nights we're here and we don't see a lot of people, but thank you for taking time to come out to council and also to speak up and allow your voices to be heard pertaining to what different things we have on the table tonight. So we would like to just thank, well, and I'm sure the team would like to thank you all for being a part of this council meeting. Please don't allow this to be the last one. And invite others to come out, so that their voice can also be heard and that they also know what's going on in the community, like what we're dealing with right now, pertaining to less lethal weapons and things like that. That's important. If your voice is not heard, things move along and you don't know what's happening.
Is there any other council comment this evening?
I would just clarify, I support less lethal, but learning that the police have not had a shooting with their service weapon, I feel they're already handling things less lethally. That's why I voted the way I did. Thanks.
I just want to offer a thank you to all of our City of York employees and say that we all, and I believe I can speak on behalf of everyone, appreciate the hard work that you do to make sure that we have a bustling City of York. And because of you, we are open for business. And because of you, we are able to serve our residents. And because of you, we're able to have a city government. So I just want to offer a thank you and say that we appreciate you and appreciate all the work that you do to keep us as a beautiful city.
Thank you.
Is there any other comments? This meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Too late, lady. That was 6 o'clock.
That was-
Come on up.
Come on
You
up.
want to talk? Come on. All right.
It starts at
It
6.
starts at 6 o'clock.
You may as well just come up to,
Come up to us when you.
Yeah, come up here. Just come up here.
Now, we don't adjourn the meeting. Well, I mean.
They might wanna hear it.
Public comment.
They want to hear
We
it.
have resumption. You want to do resumption
Yeah.
of public comment? Okay,
Okay.
go ahead, Carolyn.
Okay,
Well-
listen, I came here tonight because
State your name.
my name is Carolyn Colbert, I told you before.
Oh,
I
Miss Carol, 1 second. We have to resume.
No, we don't, because we adjourn and then, well, yeah, it is resume.
Okay.
Comment. Yeah, we do it. We just haven't done
I'm
it.
hurry
It's
up.
6:48 PM and we are going to resume for public comment. Ma'am, please go forward.
Okay, that was nice.
Just for you, Carolyn.
Okay, I'm a member of Church of Our House, that's Church of Recovery. We reside at 701 West King Street. And also that's beside us is also Catalosa.
Say the name again, I'm sorry.
Our House, Church of Recovery. And my pastor is Reggie Hunter. Now, our church, since we moved in that area, and we all know what that area is festive with, drugs and everything else that goes with it. We've been having, we get people tested, we get people into treatment, we even counsel them, a couple. It's never a day that someone's coming in and say, hey, we need help. They know we're there. And also at that, it was one time when the church was going to was under foreclosure. And we moved in there. And he had some kind of agreement where he was going to sell the church to us. Okay, he kept going up on the numbers. Catalosis was going to move too. That's the free clinic that's at 701, Pastor Bob. He was going to move on Queen Street. He said, I'm out of here. You know, so everything, because the church was under foreclosure. Pastor Bob, he was like, I can't, you know, when I can't pay the rent, we can't do it, we just have to go. So everything was about to fold. And when the people that was before Pastor Caesar, I don't even like saying that, but before him, they gave him the church. So he was about to lose the church to the banks. And then anyway, they put in offers. He doesn't take it. He's like going up on the rent, and he's like putting restraints on us. We don't have that kind of money, and we just know that we provided a need in that area that so needed it. We're expanding. Pastor Bob and them are expanding. They're expanding because we're all working together. Because he sends them to us, we send them to him. I'm already on a committee. I am already an advocate for HIV, for Family First, so I sit on that board. So I got WellSpan to go in there to do the testing and everything else. And then there's drug and alcohol counselors all the time, going in and out of the church. We're doing what we're supposed to be meant to do, okay? Now we're at restraints. So they said, well, what about the little green church? And I said, well, now, I said, the city came in and they took the green church and they gave it to the art center. They listed as eminent domain. Yep, that's what you did. It's on my phone. It is. It's on the phone. I did my homework before I got here. I've been did my homework. So they got it. They said that the building, how they put it was, the reason why the city gave them the building was because it's to beautify that area or something like that. Really? Linden Avenue? Okay. And I'm saying, what's the matter with us, our church? Why can't the city come step in and help us? Because you was about to take the church in the first place. It was already slated for that redevelopment part of it. That's considered that area of redevelopment. The church is falling apart. It was getting ready to go. We stepped in, now we're being used, like being crunched, being squeezed, and we're trying to help the community. They get big grants, but all that money goes out, slated out to the community. We go out in the community. We're not just sitting in there, hallelujah. No, we're not doing all that. Well, we do that. But we're out in the community. Yeah. We're providing services. We're getting them in, taking them to treatment, and everything else. We're doing what we're supposed to do. We just need a little help. We're trying to, yes, we can get up and move. That's no problem. But the problem is, if we move, Catalosa goes. And it's a need for that area. That area needs that. You got a gun initiative that's there. We're helping a part of that because Muldrow comes with us, comes in and jams out. Sorry, I have to use that word. That's what we're doing. Jam out in the church. He comes in there. He sees, the neighborhood sees what we're doing, and they're like coming in. When we come to church, there's always somebody sitting on the steps saying they need help. One time, it was a couple saying, oh, we just need some food, to, no, we really need some help. And they went into treatment. Then they came back and joined the church. And they often, that's that neighborhood right there. For once, this neighborhood is getting the resources that they needed. We're taking a bite out of the neighborhood to try to at least get it back to where it's safe again. And we're doing that. We just need help.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Carolyn. Would you like a follow-up from the administration regarding this?
Will.
If you can complete, there's a form in the back. If you can complete that for us and give it to me after the meeting, we'll make sure you get a follow-up from the administration. Thank you so much. Is there any other public comment? This meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful evening.
Do you have a public comment?
Is there any way that we can help? I mean, she needs grants or she needs